Ah yes, 2010, a momentous year for technology and pop culture. Steve Jobs unveiled the iPad, Justin Bieber sang a song about babies, Toy Story 3 made $1 billion, and most importantly, YouTube gave us all something truly special. The first ever YouTube Rewind, an event that celebrated the website's best videos, trends, and music of the year. YouTube went a bit mad and started pumping out a rewind every single year, with each one getting more colourful, ambitious, and unhinged than the last. But, as a two-faced man once said, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think that sums up Rewind beautifully. YouTube no longer does Rewind, as you likely know, and the true reason for its cancellation has never been common knowledge. Until today. To understand how Rewind spectacularly crashed and burnt, we need to go back to the beginning and take a good look at how the series has evolved. Like I mentioned, the first one came out in 2010 and it all started off quite humble. The first Rewind was essentially just a clip show, a breezy, concise compilation of the most iconic videos of the year. YouTube did a similar thing in 2011 and got Rebecca Black to host it, which people didn't like. I wonder why. Anyway, YouTube spiced things up the following year because 2012 was the first year with an actual rewind, essentially a deranged short film featuring popular creators parodying popular videos and songs, particularly Gangnam Style, the subject of 80% of human conversation in 2012. YouTube continued to do these big, loud, hyperactive rewinds every year, and the views they would get is enough to make a grown man cry. With the exception of the Rebecca Black one, rewinds were generally well received, and while everyone recognised that they were a bit cringy, they were fun, entertaining celebrations of the year's pop culture with everyone's favourite creators. It was all fun and games for a while. Until it wasn't, and it became apparent that viewers were beginning to dislike what YouTube was serving up. Literally, the like to dislike ratio of Rewind started getting worse as of 2016. 2017 was worse still, possibly because it's centred around fidget spinners and the Paul brothers a little bit too much. In addition to this, PewDiePie, who was the most subscribed YouTuber in 2017, stated that he was not invited to be in Rewind that year, despite him appearing in the previous 4.
It wasn't because I said no, it was because I wasn't asked.
Then again, I can see why YouTube wouldn't want him associated with it so soon after the bridge incident. Regardless, it made people unhappy, and little did we all know that in 2018 it would only get worse. Much, much worse. Everyone and their mums know that Rewind 2018 was an absolute train wreck, and that it quickly became the most disliked video on YouTube. It also doesn't help that this was the longest one, clocking in at an absurd 8 minutes and 13 seconds. The backlash this Rewind got was so bad that some people believe it's the reason why YouTube removed dislikes. On February 1st, 2019, less than 2 months after Rewind 2018 came out, The Verge posted an article titled "YouTube Wants Dislike Mobs to Stop Weaponizing the Dislike Button." What's even more interesting, and ironic, is that in this article, YouTube's Director of Project Management mentioned getting rid of dislikes entirely and said that it would be, and I quote, "extreme to do this." 2 years later, that's exactly what YouTube did. Anyway, after everyone lambasted Rewind 2018, YouTube had an identity crisis and undoubtedly had discussions about how they could avoid the same mistakes for 2019. To be fair to them, I think they somewhat succeeded, but unfortunately, I think everyone was expecting something way better than what we actually got. If you're unaware, Rewind 2019 was a compilation of lists about what creators and videos had achieved that year. It was incredibly low-key after the insanity of previous years, and of course, it annoyed people deeply. YouTube understandably decided not to do one in 2020, and then in 2021 they announced that it was game over for Rewind. On October 7th that year, tubefilter.com posted an article titled "YouTube to Stop Making Year-End Rewind Videos." There's a specific paragraph that explains in simple terms why YouTube ultimately stopped Rewind, and it reads, "YouTube says it is not abandoning the project because of the widespread criticism it has received on more recent efforts, but because its platform has become so massive that it is impossible to encapsulate its vastness and diversity within a minutes-long compilation." Call me crazy, but I actually believe YouTube when they say this. With every year that went by, the amount of big names on YouTube increased, and I think it's apparent that YouTube were trying harder and harder to cram as many people into Rewind as humanly possible. I feel like it got to the point where there were big creators who only appeared for a few frames in some of the later ones. Seeing as I've waffled about Rewind so much, I think it's only right if I talk a bit about the behind the scenes of them. On December 8th, 2017, Emma Blackery, a YouTuber with over 1.2 million subscribers, posted a video titled "YouTube Rewind, The Truth, Why I'm Saying No Next Year." When I noticed that she had turned off likes and comments, I knew I was in for an interesting watch. The video is over 30 minutes long, but I'm going to summarise it as best I can. She mostly talked about how the conditions on set weren't great, like needing to arrive early but not being required for filming until hours later, and being told only to wear a shirt in freezing cold British weather. She also mentioned there was an overall sense of low morale while filming, and that creators didn't get paid for their time. Also, according to her, she felt some YouTubers got special treatment, like not needing to be on set for as long as she was. She did say a few things I don't agree with, like how she thinks YouTube should have done a rewind for different countries and regions, but I find most of her points interesting. I also find it interesting that these criticisms were about the 2016 and 17 rewinds, which were well received overall. Since it was cancelled, YouTube has never issued an update on Rewind, and I think the chances of it ever coming back are incredibly slim. They were big productions, they featured tons of well-known creators and were filmed in a variety of locations worldwide, so I wouldn't be surprised if each one cost YouTube millions of dollars. They probably had an epiphany after 2018 and asked themselves, why are we spending this much money if everyone is just gonna hate us for it? Anyways, I think if I say the word rewind one more time, I might lose the last piece of my sanity. So thank you very much for watching Beyond the Internet. I'll see you again soon.